Hey everybody, thanks for watching PoliceTube. I wanted to go over the instructions on how to tamper with your ankle monitor if you're on home arrest and how to make your getaway. These ankle monitors, they're not perfect. Basically, the way these ankle monitors and home arrest works is they'll strap this monitor to your ankle, as you know, and there's a couple different kinds. But basically, the police departments and the sheriff departments, they rent these out. They lease these out from a third party company, and the third party company has different kinds, from cheaper ones that you can cut off with scissors to pretty heavy duty ones that are pretty difficult to get off even with bolt cutters. But they can be hacked, okay? And they can be jimmied in some instances. The bigger ones, those are a lot harder. It takes a lot of work, but that's not what Jeremy Dewitte has. Something simple that you can cut off with a good set of scissors is what most people have, and it's usually pretty effective. Basically, these are cellular GPS type devices, and they can give a constant feed of the person's location that's wearing it. It's almost impossible to take off, and if you start tampering with it, it sends a message to the company that's monitoring it 24 hours a day, and as soon as they get that message, they take action, including calling the local police department, which can go to that location immediately. So within moments of somebody taking the ankle bracelet off, police should be notified. And that gives them a good starting point if somebody is trying to make an escape, knowing that that person was here at a certain time, moments ago. They can start setting up checkpoints, start establishing a radius. But if you were to defeat one of these things, you would have to consider, do you want to do it in the middle of the night when the police department is low on staff? So it'll take them longer to get to you and they'll have less units to get to you? Or would you want to do it in the daytime when it could take longer for them to get to you because of traffic and stuff, but there could be more units coming toward you? At the same time, you can make a faster getaway at night, but you'll be more obvious because you'll be easier to be found. During the day, if you're making your getaway, you're going to be blending in with thousands of other people that are out during the day. In Jeremy Dewitte's case, he would be banned from making any flights. He would be on a watch list immediately at any nearby airports. There would be an APB put out for him where everybody's looking for him up and down Florida. There's not a lot of places he can go unless he makes an escape via the water, either on the east or west coast of Florida. As you know, he doesn't do funeral escorts on the west coast. Other than that, he can start driving up the panhandle and go into Georgia or start heading over toward Alabama. The police will know this, of course, so they'll have people on the lookout over on this coast and on this coast, and they'll have authorities alerted up and along these highways, and they'll send notifications to all the local municipalities all along the borders of Florida here. But people can only look for Jeremy Dewitte so long. What they would do if they knew that he was in a certain area at a certain time, they would start establishing radiuses that go out at certain time frames. So an hour later, he could be within a 60-mile radius. 2 hours, he could be within a 120-mile radius. At a certain time, he could be leaving the state, but not before a certain time. So they would start looking for him for the next 3 days, basically. After the ankle monitor got cut off, they would have heavy people looking for him. So the best thing Jeremy could do at that point is to make a quick local trip to an undisclosed location where no one would ever think to look for him. Somewhere local within a 60 to 100-mile radius where he could get to immediately after cutting off the bracelet, and he could stay there and lay low for at least 3 days. After that, he would take a unregistered car, and within 30 days, he would probably leave in the middle of the night, very early in the morning, middle of the night, and start leaving the state. One of the main junctions that he's going to get to is either Jacksonville or right over here in Lake City, where the 10 and 75 meet, or right over here. He's probably going to want to avoid Jacksonville because it's just going to be too hot. So his best case scenario is to go up the middle artery of Florida, right up the 75. That would be his best way out of town. Now, he's going to consider probably going up the west coast of Florida, but that's going to take too much time to go on these routes. It would be safer, but it would take too much extra time. So he's going to want to hightail it straight out of Florida And that's his number one goal, is to get out of Florida. He's not going to want to go up here and stay in Florida going toward Tallahassee, going toward Alabama. He's going to get right over to here to Valdosta, Georgia. When he's in this area, that's when he's going to start changing direction, right around here. I have a feeling he'll probably go up to a smaller town up here, just go right past Valdosta, because there will be local PD there already alerted of his presence within the recent time frame. He'll probably go up here to Tifton and then start heading west. He's definitely not going to go east. He's going to head west. Where he's going to go from there, you know what I would guess? If I was him? He wants to go to Colorado. I just figured that out right now as I was thinking about this, because he has connections in Colorado and connections in South Dakota. Dylan's father is up here in South Dakota with his own trucking company, small trucking company, and he moved there from Colorado. Dylan is Jeremy Dewitte's brother, half-brother, and he's kind of estranged. He moved away a long time ago. He moved to Colorado. He moved all over Colorado, and then one day he hightailed it and got out to South Dakota. Him and Jeremy are a lot alike. I didn't put out a full video on that because I didn't think it was relevant, but now if Jeremy escapes, I think that's his goal. Colorado or South Dakota. He might just head up to South Dakota. I'm afraid that when I listen to Jeremy's calls with Jennifer Burton, these jailhouse calls, I feel like they were talking about escaping. I feel like Jennifer was talking about getting things together, getting the money that he has, because he does have money set aside. He has cash. He has gold coins. He has little investments set aside for when he needs to run, if he ever does need to run, or if he ever needs to go get a large amount of cash, which sometimes he might need $35,000 of cash in one night to go do something. So he has spots where he has access to that amount of money. Lots more than that, but he can get access to large amounts of money that's off the books. That's his, but it's off the books right now. And that's going to be his key to getting out of town and restarting his life, is getting that, having Jennifer get a new car for him, and getting that lined up. Jennifer may stay behind and go later. Will they go together? Maybe. They could both disappear. But it's possible that Jeremy and his family have set up a secondary house ready for him to come and spend up to 30 to 45 days in if he needs to, where once he cuts that ankle bracelet, boom, within 5 minutes, he's disappeared out of the block, out of the neighborhood, and he's into a new neighborhood disguised and nobody can find him. And he's in a new neighborhood, and this is coordinated by his family at this point. Jennifer can't be trusted to keep this information private, but he can trust his brother, and he can trust his mom, and he can trust his other mom. Their call records will show coordination with Dylan's father and the searching of a new car to purchase and the purchasing of that new car. Because, you call a couple people looking for a new car, there's going to be some activity on their phones there. So all of this is going to happen quicker than later. Jeremy's not going to spend a month out of prison before he cuts off his ankle bracelet. If he does it and tries to make an escape, it'll be fairly soon. Within 7 days, he knows that Osceola wants to pick him up. There's people that want him in jail. There's also people that don't want him in jail. He knows that most likely he's going to end up in jail because this is getting way too hot and people want to start wiping their hands of Jeremy Dewitte at this point. So he knows that he is somewhat disposable in this bigger picture game that he's a part of. And he knows that it's time for him to leave and change his look. And that's the only way he can get out of this, because he is facing up to 30 years. He could stay in prison for the rest of his life. People could leave him hanging out to dry. And after everything, he's too well known in Florida. He can't do anything anymore. His men turned on him. He's too hot to handle. So those are all the ingredients that are needed for someone to want to cut their ankle bracelet and flee. And he's wearing the type of ankle bracelet that you can cut and flee.
The tamperings are true.
He is not wearing a high-quality, hardened ankle bracelet. He's wearing a flexible one that has the wires and the straps that you can cut, but there's a trust system that you don't cut it, because if you do cut it, then you're done, and you're never going to be trusted again. So you got to know as a criminal, if you cut this, this is your last chance, and you better make it right. And Jeremy knows this. He has things planned out. And at the end of the day, he's already facing such a long time in prison. What's an escape going to add on? Almost nothing. it doesn't matter what he does now because he's already facing almost the rest of his life in prison, possibly. Personally, I don't think he's going to get that, but theoretically, they could charge him with 30 years in prison. And if they do that, that could be his whole life. He's already 41. Prison is not kind to people, so to live to be 70 in prison would be a blessing for Jeremy. But he's basically looking to pass away in prison at this point if he gets convicted of 30 years. He's hoping that people will pull the strings and he'll be out. But if that starts looking like it ain't going to happen, then he has a good chance to run. And I know that people in Florida, the law enforcement, I know they're thinking about that. I know they're on high alert because it wouldn't take much for him to start doing things that he's not supposed to be doing, meeting up with people that he's not supposed to be meeting up with, possibly even putting people in danger who he shouldn't be associating with right now. Anyway, this has been PoliceTube. I appreciate you watching this about how to tamper with ankle monitors. It does happen. Murderers do cut them off and escape. It's not unheard of. And there are fears that this is going to happen. Not from me, but from other people that are close to the situation. People are thinking, what's going on? Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment down below. As always, have a great day.